Ontario Winter Games shortened list of sports. A second youth charge in connection to the St. Pat's threats. And Russia launches a massive aerial attack on Ukraine.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The Ontario Winter Games that will be coming to Thunder Bay in February will not be seeing some high-profile sporting events.
That's due to the high cost of air travel to the city. Joe Sadowski has been following the story and joins us in studio with the details. Joe?
Thanks, Riley. With the games only weeks away, alpine skiing, wheelchair curling, as well as others have all opted out of the games, leaving hundreds of athletes from around the province on the sideline in what organizers are calling a financial risk that's not worth taking. $1.5 million wasn't enough to ensure all athletes could make the trip to Thunder Bay for a premier winter sporting event.
To be hosting an event where people from Ontario can't get here, that drives me crazy.
Downhill and freestyle skiing are just a few of the major sports that will not be participating in the Ontario Winter Games in February. This comes due to the lack of commercial flights, including the high cost of air travel that is ultimately affecting Southern Ontario athletes' willingness to make the trip. Local alpine skiing coach David Bradley says it's a missed opportunity that only comes around once in a lifetime.
I believe this was the first time in 50 years that our community was going to host this provincial event. And so I refer to it as a generational kind of opportunity, which probably won't have another chance for another generation, or so. So it's a while out before we get the opportunity again.
With downhill skiing out of the event, that cuts the total number of athletes down by hundreds, not to mention wheelchair curling being cut as well. Gino Sonego, a local wheelchair curler who has competed at the national level, says this will have a major impact on the revenue the games will bring into the city.
For the host committee, they were probably counting, or the city, they were counting on all those people coming to Thunder Bay and those venues being open and maybe some tourism dollars coming to it. And now here again, it's not going to happen. And a lot of it is, well, I mean, it comes down to dollars, and whoever the organizing on the other end must have had some anticipation that it was going to cost a lot of money or more money to send people to Thunder Bay.
Sonego and the rest of his team will be missing out on the chance to compete on home turf, as well as the other hundreds of athletes who will be without a major part of their sporting season.
You had family that could come and watch. You could kind of promote the sport. You can kind of help it grow a little bit more so that people would raise the awareness of wheelchair curling in general.
Is they appreciate what the kids learn while they're here. So that's like number one for Ontario society, building our young people to be, great athletes and great citizens.
The City of Thunder Bay has declined to comment at this time and say they will provide a full update for the upcoming games early in the new year. Joe Sadowski, TBT News.
One person has died following a head-on collision on Highway 11 south of Beermore yesterday. A passenger vehicle and a transport truck collided just before 5 p.m. and the highway was completely closed between Beardmore and Nipigon. OPP have confirmed that the driver of the smaller vehicle, 56-year-old Greenstone man, was pronounced dead at the scene. 2 people in the transport were taken to hospital with minor injuries. The highway reopened at around 11 o'clock this morning following an 18-hour closure.
A second youth has been charged in connection with threats made against St. Patrick High School earlier this month. RCMP in New Brunswick arrested a 14-year-old from that province on December 23rd, but information about the charges was just made public today. St. Pat's received multiple threats starting on November 27th, which led to lockdowns, evacuations, and school closures. On December 13th, Thunder Bay Police announced a 17-year-old local youth was arrested. The suspect, who was not a student at St. Pat's, was charged with mischief and public mischief for 2 threats made on December 12th and the 13th. However, other threats were received on December 11th, 13th, and 15th. The local cybercrime unit managed to identify a suspect living in New Brunswick. The youth was charged by RCMP with 3 counts of mischief and public mischiefs and 2 counts of uttering threats.
There's a brand new multi-millionaire in town.
Thunder Bay's Sam Mackey took home the jackpot today, worth nearly $4 million in a record-breaking Hospital Foundation 50-50 draw. Lee Noonan has the story.
Thunder Bay resident Sam Mackey rushed down with the whole family to pick up his check for more than $3.9 million. By far the biggest jackpot in the history of the Thunder Bay Regional Health Science Foundation's 50-50 draw.
You know, I'm in just utter shock and disbelief. Nothing like this has ever happened to me or anyone in my family. Yeah, I just think it's going to be very life-changing.
Mackey says he felt like he might pass out when he realized Foundation CEO Glenn Craig was on the phone.
So how does the number $3,983,185 sound to you?
Oh my God, you've got to be kidding me.
I'm not kidding you, Sam.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You are Thunder Bay's newest multimillionaire.
Oh my God. Oh my God, Glenn.
Mackey was getting ready to take the kids to the movies when he got the call. He says they were a little disappointed at first by the change in plans.
I was a little bit sad, but then I realized we won a lot of money, so I was like, yeah, it's better than the movies.
The one kid was like, "Oh, well, that's okay. If we can't go to the movies, maybe we'll go to Disneyland instead." And so I guess we got to take them there now.
Mackey and his wife Tracy say they plan to get a bigger house with a room for each kid and to squirrel some away for them, but they're still processing what this win will do for the family.
My legitimate first thought was, oh, I can buy new boots now. I don't even know what this means. It's really amazing and exciting.
Craig says he was feeling pretty nervous himself as he made the phone call.
Just knowing that you're changing a person and a family's life. I mean, this truly is life-altering amount of money. As far as we know, this is a record not only for us in Thunder Bay, but Ontario, but indeed all of Canada for the largest, hospital monthly 50-50. I think the previous record was $3.4 million, so we shattered that.
The money will also make a huge difference for the hospital. Craig says the foundation raised roughly $15 million through the monthly draws in 2023.
We're doing more. We are dreaming bigger. This is greatly improving healthcare for all of Northwestern Ontario.
Mackey says he buys $100 of tickets every month, and he'll be doing so again this January. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Corrections officers in Thunder Bay and around the province have finally received their new contract after entering arbitration near the end of November. The arbitrator's award gives the employees a 9.5 or a 10.5% total wage increase over 3 years, depending on the classification. OPSEU Local 708 President Sean Bradshaw, who represents staff at the Thunder Bay Correctional Centre, says it's a fair decision after nearly 2 years without a contract.
I think it represents the work that we do and the inflation that everybody faces. I think it adds to recruitment and retention for qualified officers, and the nurses also received an additional award.
The new contract, which was finalized just before Christmas, also includes increases to benefits. The deal will impact around 400 employees in Thunder Bay, mostly those working at the Correctional Centre and at the District Jail. The wage increases for 2022 and 2023 will be paid to staff retroactively. Bradshaw says the agreement will expire at the end of 2024, so they will have to start the negotiation process again in late spring.
That's how it works when you don't have the right to strike. You end up negotiating, and then all of a sudden you get an arbitrated award, and a couple years down the road, you get your award. So same thing happens with firefighters and police. I don't think going on strike in this type of profession does us any justice. It's not, you're not affecting a production line, you're not affecting anything. So you're just creating a dangerous environment for your staff and members and the inmates.
It was a day to celebrate new recruits as they begin their careers in policing.
A joint badge ceremony was recently held for new constables with the Anishinaabe-Aski Police and Lac Seul Police Services. It's the first time the organizations have recognized the recruits together. Vasilios Bellos reports.
Two police services that support First Nations communities in the region welcomed their newest class of constables.
Want to do justice for all the guys that have gone before me.
A special joint badge ceremony was held to celebrate 11 new officers joining the Anishinaabe-Aski Police Service and 4 entering the Lac Seul Police Service. The constables will be serving a number of communities across the region. Constable Adam Harder will be stationed in Cat Lake and talks about the impact he hopes to make.
Being able to build relationships there, developing friendships, and getting to know local culture, right? Things are very different when you can't just drive up to Walmart to grab your Cheerios. It's a completely different lifestyle.
The ceremony also saw a number of regional leaders take the stand, offering words of advice for the new constables. Lac Seul Police Service Chief Bruno Rossi says the benefits the new officers will bring extend beyond just policing.
It's very important because the community doesn't just get new officers, they get new friends, there's relationships that'll be built. The kids will look up to them. It's a great day. So they're getting their badges. They worked hard to be here.
It's the first time the services have collaborated for a badge ceremony. Anishinaabe-Aski Police Service Chief Roland Morrison explains why it's crucial the services work together.
That's always important to do. Having those positive partnerships really help our communities, because there are times when we rely on people, we rely on partners, organizations to really address our issues and advance those issues in our communities. So.
Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
As the year winds down, the unseasonably warm weather and lack of snow has been on the minds of many people this holiday season.
Jessica Clement spoke to local climatologist Graham Saunders about why Thunder Bay and other areas are experiencing this abnormal weather and what residents can expect in the next few weeks.
While this winter's unusual weather has some people scratching their heads, local climatologist Graham Saunders may have some answers as to why Thunder Bay hasn't seen much snow. Saunders says the city has hit several temperature records, noting that since December 21st, daily temperatures have all been above zero. He says the warmer temperatures can be attributed to a combination of climate change and an atmospheric phenomenon called El Niño.
In an El Niño year, as we're experiencing this year, the temperature is 2 degrees above average. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you're talking about an area of Canada in the Pacific, it's a lot of heat, and it distorts the weather around the world. But it's coupled this time with climate change too. So the temperatures we're having right now with our El Niño are warmer than you would expect in the past.
Saunders says at this moment, various long-range forecasts for Thunder Bay point to the possibility of warmer and drier weather over the next couple of weeks.
I'm not saying there won't be any snow or cold, but it's going to favor, at least for the next few weeks, like well into January, abnormally dry, i.e. not much snow, and warmer temperatures than we expect in January.
Saunders adds that right now, he's working on figuring out whether or not the dry winter will negatively affect the summer season.
What happened last year was by far the worst fire season on record in Canada. Will it repeat that? I can't imagine that, but I think there's concerns because right now it's fairly dry in the Thunder Bay area and a lot of northern Ontario. So if we get to spring and we hadn't had snow and rainfall in the spring, we could be in some trouble.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Well, Fiona, sticking with weather this time, it's really nice to still see the sun shining today.
It is. That's one of the positive things about today's conditions. Lots of sunshine, very light winds. You could get out and really enjoy it. It was brisk. We started out with a low of -5 and wind chills of -10, but warmed up to 4 Celsius. And once again, it's unofficial, but I do believe we were 1/10 of a degree below the record for today. So no record, but very, very close to it under a lot of sunshine. Now, the sunshine continued to the west into Fort Frances. They're currently under mostly clear skies and -2. They had an overnight low very similar to what Thunder Bay experienced. And wind chills at this hour, making it feel maybe a couple degrees cooler. Winds have been very light, and because it is so dry, it just doesn't really feel all that cool. As you head further north, though, the temperature does start to drop. Kenora and Dryden both at -3, as is Atikokan. Red Lake also at -3. It was a much cooler night to the north. Overnight lows hit -11 up in Red Lake. And as we head eastward into Armstrong, you can see temperatures take a bit of a hit. They're currently at -8, -7 in Greenstone, a lot of cloud. They too had a fairly cool overnight low, nowhere near seasonal cool, but -10 was the low. Heading down into the North Shore, we're at -5 in Nipigon, -6 in Marathon. Sault Ste. Marie on the plus side. They also had a very mild night. They had a low of -3, a high of 4, and right now they're sitting smack in the middle under clear skies. Now, here in the city of Thunder Bay tonight, we're going to see pretty much a repeat of last night temperature-wise, -4, wind chills hovering around -11, but some increasing clouds. Now, we just heard that there isn't a lot of snow on the way, and there isn't a lot, but there is a chance of some. We have an area that could be affected by snow showers tomorrow as this low pressure system pushes into Lake Superior, and I'll have more details on how much and how long it should last. That's later on in the news hour.
Thanks, Fiona. Well, as we get closer to the new year, Russia has made some big steps forward in the war as they have launched what Ukraine is saying is the biggest aerial strike since the war started 2 years ago. We'll have details in just a second.
There was an explosion, then flames. I fled into the subway station, this woman says.